I keep waking up in different bodies. It's a nightmare. The first time, I thought I was having a stroke. I woke up, not in my familiar, lumpy mattress, but in a queen-size bed with floral sheets. Sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. My own hand, usually calloused from years of turning dusty pages, was soft, manicured, adorned with a wedding band. Panic flared. My heart hammered against my ribs. This wasn't my room. This wasn't my body. I stumbled out of bed, my legs shaky and unfamiliar. The body I was inhabiting was soft, curvy, definitely female. A glance in the mirror confirmed my worst fears. Staring back at me was a woman in her late 40s, with kind eyes and a scattering of freckles across her nose. My voice caught in my throat as I tried to scream, but only a strangled gasp escaped. I was trapped. The next few hours were a blur of frantic exploration. I found a purse containing a driver's license, Carol Miller, Wisconsin address, family photos plastered on the fridge, husband, 2 kids, a life completely foreign to my own quiet existence as Elias Thorne, historian, Chicago resident. I tried to act normal, mimicking Carol's movements and expressions as best I could. I fumbled through breakfast, attempting to make small talk with a teenage boy who regarded me with a mixture of annoyance and boredom. My attempts to access my email or call for help were met with blank stares from the mirror. Only Carol's email was available. It was like I was an actor playing a role with no script and a rapidly approaching curtain call. I spent the entire day in a state of heightened anxiety, convinced I was losing my mind. By nightfall, I was exhausted, emotionally and mentally drained. I collapsed into bed, praying to wake up back in my own body. And I did. The relief was overwhelming. I woke up in my familiar cluttered apartment, the smell of old books and stale coffee filling the air. The memory of Carol's life felt like a bizarre, incredibly vivid dream. I chalked it up to stress, lack of sleep, maybe even a particularly potent batch of old cheddar I had before bed. I tried to forget about it, to dismiss it as a one-off hallucination. But the next time, it wasn't so easy to ignore. This time, I was Marco. A construction worker in Miami. The heat was suffocating, the work back-breaking. My hands were rough, scarred, and permanently stained with grime. I spent the day lugging heavy materials, the rhythmic clang of hammers echoing in my ears. Then I was Sarah, a 16-year-old in rural Montana, navigating the treacherous waters of high school politics and first love. The social anxiety was crippling, the constant fear of judgment overwhelming. Then David, an elderly man in a nursing home in Arizona, his body riddled with arthritis, his mind struggling to hold on to fading memories. The isolation was profound, the silence deafening. The jumps were becoming more frequent, the transitions more jarring. Each time, I retained my memories, my consciousness, trapped inside a stranger's body. My life, my identity, was slowly being eroded by this relentless, inexplicable phenomenon. I started documenting everything, meticulously recording every detail about each person I inhabited, their names, their locations, their relationships, their fears, their hopes. I was searching for a pattern, a trigger, anything that could explain what was happening to me. Sleep became a source of dread. I never knew where or who I would wake up as. My work suffered. My apartment became a neglected mess. I was losing myself. Desperate, I reached out to Dr. Anya Sharma, a neuroscientist I had interviewed for a previous article on memory disorders. I knew it sounded insane, but I had nowhere else to turn. Initially, she was skeptical, politely suggesting I seek psychiatric help. But I persisted, bombarding her with details, facts that I couldn't possibly know unless I had actually lived those lives. Slowly, she began to listen. She admitted one day, after reviewing my meticulously kept journals. I can't explain it, Elias, but I can't dismiss it either. We need to run some tests. The tests were inconclusive. Brain scans, blood work, genetic analysis, nothing revealed any abnormalities. I was a medical anomaly, a walking, talking, body-swapping enigma. Detective Marcus Bell entered the picture when a series of seemingly unrelated incidents began to raise red flags. A construction worker in Miami had vanished, leaving behind a trail of unpaid debts and a suspicious lack of activity on his bank account. A teenage girl in Montana had abruptly dropped out of school and went away from home. An elderly man in Arizona had suddenly become lucid and agitated, making bizarre claims about being someone else. Bell was a seasoned detective, hardened by years on the force. He didn't believe in miracles or supernatural phenomena. He believed in facts, evidence, and motives. And he saw a pattern emerging, a connection between these disparate events. He tracked me down, drawn by my connection to the missing individuals. He questioned me relentlessly, his gaze sharp and unwavering. I knew I couldn't tell him the truth. He would think I was insane, but I couldn't lie either. My answers were vague, evasive, raising his suspicions even further. I needed help, someone who could navigate the digital world, someone who could uncover the truth behind this madness. That's when I found Izzy. Izzy was a hacker, a ghost in the machine, living on the fringes of society. She was skeptical at first, dismissing my story as an elaborate hoax, but when I provided her with irrefutable evidence, details that only someone who had lived those lives could know, she agreed to help. "This is some crazy stuff," she said, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "But I'm in. Let's see what we can find." Izzy started digging, tracing IP addresses, analyzing data streams, searching for any anomalies that could be linked to my jumps. She discovered encrypted files, hidden servers, and unusual energy spikes coinciding with the times I had switched bodies. "Someone's messing with you, Elias," she said, her voice grim. "This isn't natural. This is technology. Advanced technology." The jumps were becoming more dangerous. I woke up in the body of a drug dealer in Chicago, caught in the middle of a turf war. I woke up as a surgeon performing a high-risk operation with no medical training whatsoever. I woke up as a prisoner in a maximum security facility, facing a life sentence for a crime I didn't commit. Each time, the stakes were higher, the consequences more dire. I was losing control, both of my own life and of the lives of the people I was inhabiting. The ethical dilemmas were agonizing. Should I interfere in their lives? Should I try to fix their problems, even if it meant altering their destinies? Was I doing more harm than good? One night, I woke up in the body of a scientist named Dr. Alistair Reed. He was working on a top-secret project at a hidden facility in the Nevada desert. The project involved consciousness transfer, alternate realities, and the manipulation of the very fabric of existence. I was horrified. This was it. This was the source of my nightmare. I found myself in a sterile white lab, surrounded by strange machines and complex equations. I saw Dr. Psych and Dr. Psych, Reed's notes, detailing the experiments he was conducting, the risks he was taking, the potential consequences of his actions. He believed he was on the verge of a breakthrough, a way to unlock the secrets of the universe. But he was playing with forces he didn't understand, tampering with something that should have been left untouched. I tried to sabotage the experiment, to destroy the machines, to stop him from unleashing this madness upon the world. But I was trapped in his body, his mind, his motivations. He fought me, resisted my efforts, clung to his ambition with a desperate tenacity. During the struggle, I glimpsed the faces of others, trapped in similar situations, their consciousnesses scattered across different bodies, their identities lost in the chaos. I was not alone. I managed to disrupt the experiment, to trigger a chain reaction that threatened to destroy the entire facility. But in doing so, I exposed myself, revealing my presence to the individuals responsible for this nightmare. They confronted me, explaining their motives, justifying their actions. They believed they were acting for the greater good, pushing the boundaries of science, exploring the unknown. But their ambition had blinded them to the consequences, to the suffering they were causing. I escaped the facility, barely alive, carrying with me the knowledge of what they were doing, the horror of what they were capable of. I shared my findings with Dr. Sharma and Detective Bell, who now fully believed my story and offered their assistance in uncovering the truth. We worked together, gathering evidence, building a case, preparing to expose the conspiracy to the world. But the jumps didn't stop. They continued, relentless and unpredictable, pulling me from one life to another, tearing me apart piece by piece. I was losing hope, succumbing to the despair that threatened to consume me. I was a ghost in the machine, a prisoner of my own consciousness, forever trapped in a cycle of disorientation and loss. One morning, I woke up in my own bed, in my own apartment. The familiar smell of old books and stale coffee filled the air. But something was different. I looked in the mirror, and my reflection was not my own. It was a composite of all the faces I had inhabited, a grotesque mosaic of stolen identities. And then I heard a voice in my head, not my own. A chorus of voices, whispering, murmuring, merging into a single, unified consciousness. "We are all one now," the voice said, "and we are coming for you."